Portal on Enterprise TV, where sport news from the four corners of the world are delivered at its best. If you are joining us for the first time, please do well to follow us across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. My name is John Olasukomi. Join me and let's ride together. Joining me in the studio today is Daniel Osege, making a return back to Sportal. Welcome to Sportal, Daniel.
Many thanks for having me and John Olasukomi. It feels good to be in this very cozy studio, and
how do you feel, Daniel? The Premier League is back.
Exciting times. For most of the men, they say this is the period where they get to have fun on weekends, and maybe shy away from their partners.
Okay.
For a moment, but I think you can have the luxury of having both. Seeing a game with your better part is also part of.
And funnily enough, you are now a Chelsea fan. You can imagine it's been a month that you people last won a cup. Talking about Club World Cup.
Well, it depends. I really do not know if like I said, I don't have ties with any team at the moment. But at some point I had interest in Chelsea, due to the fighting spirit of the Jose Mourinho side in the early 2000s. So for Chelsea fans, it looks like there's no better time than now. Being world champions for the next 4 years. But I mean, the goal should ultimately be to not just make the top four this time around, because that's what happens when you achieve so much. But I think it's still an uphill task for them, having to make it all the way to the pinnacle of football in England. But only time will tell. Leicester City shocked the world. Let's see if Chelsea can continue.
Of course, I mean, as of today, all Chelsea fans out there will be proud to say, yes, I'm a Chelsea fan.
Truth be told, because like I said earlier, 4 years of bragging rights, or 4 years of tormenting and torturing, opposition fans. But that's all in the past now. With sport, you achieve something today, you move on to the next. You understand? So they can't keep basking on that. I mean, Enzo Maresca won't be at Chelsea for the next 4 years if he doesn't win any title. We know the Chelsea way. So I think at this point in time, they should look forward to picking up another title. To add to the accolades that they've been able to achieve. And but you know how the Premier League works. It's a very difficult league to.
You just said something about winning another title. Definitely, he has won Conference League, Club World Cup, of course. You'll be playing the Champions League and, of course, the Premier League. Those are the titles you're talking about.
But we still have to remember that this Chelsea team is still the young side. Let's not jump the gun, because the truth is, like I said about Leicester City a few years ago, 2016 to be precise. They went on to win the league, featured in the Champions League next season, did very well in my own opinion, got to the quarterfinals, lost on a single controversial goal. A penalty that was awarded for a foul.
So I still don't know the reason why you keep using Leicester City alongside Chelsea Football Club. I think Leicester City should be here and Chelsea should be here. If you want to compare, if you compare the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, not Leicester City. Because Chelsea Football Club is a big team on its own.
But that's not normal.
We talk about in the last 23 years now.
Yes.
Chelsea are the biggest team in England because they won everything.
Would you really say? I think.
Okay, give me a team that's better than Chelsea in the last 20 years.
I think United will still be up there because.
In the last 20 years?
Yeah, because they've won.
They won Champions League just once in the last 20 years.
Truth be said.
Chelsea have won that many times.
I think Chelsea, like you rightfully said, are up there, right? But the reason why I'm talking about this because this is a young Chelsea side. This is not the same Chelsea that has the Drogba that has the likes of
like Chelsea young team. We have only just Chelsea Football Club. True
about that, but we also have to understand the reason why they were involved in the Club World Cup in the first place was because of the expansion.
Yes, of course.
If the old format, which is being adopted for the FIFA Intercontinental Cup now,
they would have been. You talk about the expansion.
Yes.
And in the last 4 years, they won Champions League. In the last 4 years, they won. I think they won the league once.
No, they've not won the league in 8 years.
They won the Conference Cup.
Yes.
In the last 4 years, they'll be only that bad. They're going to be bad now for the next 4 years.
Chelsea shouldn't be playing in the Conference League. We know that Conference League is.
It happens. That is football.
So my point
is. And then in 15 last season, they shouldn't be there. That is nowhere.
That's why they're not there. That's why they're not
saying. I don't know. I'm saying.
So my point is, Chelsea is a team that played in the Conference League last season. I mean, do you know the quality of teams that play in the Conference League? Astana. That's for clubs that teams that I'll make a back seat in.
When you are in Rome, what will you do? You behave, Abi.
That's the point. But
that's it.
But the Conference League is not for competition for teams that haven't from Rome. It's not for a team.
Israel Betis is wait now. Israel Betis is a Conference League team.
Real Madrid is not a traditional top 4 team in Spain, but Chelsea ought to be a traditional top 4 team.
Champions League back to back.
Not very often. So the point is, Chelsea is a traditional top 4 team as far as this century is concerned.
Since when?
This century.
Oh, okay.
The 2023 years you're talking about. So they don't belong there. So my point is, they are now playing in the Champions League where they rightfully belong. But what it means is that in recent times, they have proven that they may not necessarily be a Champions League team.
The point here is
okay.
In the last 23 years.
Yes.
You mentioned Manchester United.
Yes. Yes.
Chelsea is the biggest team in England, whether you like it or not.
You have the strong argument for that.
You can say it there.
But you have to understand that 23 years is a long time. There are some things I know you do now you ain't doing 23 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. In the last decade, they won Champions League. Okay. This one they were going to won Champions League.
Okay, those things you've been doing for the past decade. Okay, so your point is, those things you were not doing 23 years ago, you've been doing for the past decade.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
They won Champions League, they won everything.
No, I'm talking about you in person now.
I'm not talking about Chelsea. And don't also forget, they defeated the best team in the world right now. Talking about Paris Saint-Germain. Almighty.
PSG, you have begin to sound like the worshippers of European football. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain are not the biggest team in the world. They're the biggest team in Europe.
Tell me a team.
No, because
tell me that team in the world that is better than Paris Saint-Germain. You want to go to Brazil? You want to go to England?
No, because at this point, they lost to a Brazilian team in that competition.
That is better than Paris Saint-Germain.
No, but they lost to Botafogo. Well, they lost in that competition to a Brazilian team.
What if they lost on purpose? Because I remember we had a program and we said something about Chelsea Football Club losing to who they lose to. I forgot the name of the other team.
I won't say that I'm ignorant of tanking in sports, right? I mean, England did it in 2018 World Cup, deliberately losing to Belgium in the final group stage to avoid teams like Brazil, teams like France.
That doesn't mean anything in Brazil is better than Chelsea. It's better than Paris Saint-Germain.
At this point in time, we never know because they didn't conquer the world.
Okay, let's talk about Ballon d'Or. If they want to do Ballon d'Or now, do you think they will go to France? They will go to, do you think they will go to Brazil?
No, you see, you have to follow your word.
That was a mistake. Do you think they will go to Argentina? Do you think they will go to
Brazil?
To Brazil, they will go to
Saudi
Arabia.
They might be the top 10 playing in Brazil at 19. So it goes to show that. See,
it doesn't happen often. Neymar was outstanding in that season.
Sure, but you have to understand that. Again, the Ballon d'Or is a competition that was betted in Europe, so that bias is still there, right? I mean, this is an award that was initially the best player in Europe. It then became the best player in the world playing in Europe. Still emphasis on Europe, even when they made it a wider scope. But right about now, it's about the best player playing across the world. But we know there's still bias, and globally we understand, especially in Europe and Africa. You understand, and to a certain extent maybe in Asia, you understand, in the Middle East, we still feel football is played in Europe. You understand? But we have to understand that some of these top stars in Europe were signed from South America, for instance. Vinicius Junior, the current FIFA World the best holder, was signed. You understand? So that goes to show that there's quality football played outside of Europe, right? So that's why I say Paris Saint-Germain, best team in Europe, spot on. They won the UEFA Champions League. But not best in the world because
this is the best team in the world because they won the World Cup.
Then you can say that.
bring any team that is deserving, Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, all right, bring them. Just will definitely, change them with this. All right, that's where we're going. We just have to branch here. All right, Manchester United will host Arsenal at Old Trafford in a blockbuster fixture on the opening weekend of the 2025-2026 Premier League, which officially begins with the Friday night fixtures as champions. Liverpool starts their title defense at home to Bournemouth. Talking about Manchester United, when we talk about 1915 last season, 2024-2025 season, and of course they are starting their Premier League against one of the best teams in Premier League. Talking about Arsenal Football Club. You know, they've been second for 3 consecutive years. Come on, it's crazy, but we just have to, you know,
Yeah.
we just have to say it. And in one of our shows, we said something about history being repeating itself because Arsene Wenger during 90s, 99, 2000, he came second 3 times in a row. Until now one is in 2021 and 2022 season. So we don't know whether history will definitely repeat itself under the judge of Arteta. I mean, Arteta, I beg your pardon. Now, United, Ruben Amorim realized that they need so many players. And when they come to the markets, bring in some players. You know, mentioned in Bomo, you know, a lot of fantastic players. Do you think they have what it takes to compete? Not winning this time, but to compete?
The top is a long shot from 15. I mean, a team who finishes in 15 should be aiming to be making it to the top 10, ideally, right? But this is United. We know that's a one-off season. United are not perennial champions that they used to be. They have to, you know, it's the humble pile at this point in time. I think their targets at this point in time should. I should say they should be targeting maybe a top 6 to finish in Europa in league places. Yes, but this is the same United that you know, certainly Jose Mourinho with a lot of success finished in 6th position at some point, but was able to qualify for the Champions League due to the fact that he won the UEFA Europa League. All right, so it's the reality at this point in time. You know, Fergie is not at the helms of affair anymore. Okay, so I would have said that ideally. However, because they don't have the distraction of playing midweek football very often this season and not playing in any European competition, so I think that can bet the push for maybe a top 4 finish. But that's going to be very, very difficult because we've got you know, Liverpool defending champions. You know, we've got Arsenal, like you might mentioned, second 3 consecutive seasons. So we must be looking to finish a position better, which is to win the league. We've got Manchester City, who are still you know, healing from the hurt of last season. There's Chelsea world champions as well. So that's 4 teams already mentioned. We know Newcastle United have been, you know, in and around the top 4 recent years. You know, Aston Villa is still there and all of that. So I think United have to set their priorities right. Okay, it's been a very long time since they defeated Arsenal. It's unusual. Usually we always have Arsenal trying to do the catching up. Okay, and I remember the last time they played at Old Trafford, it was a 1-1 draw. In fact, when they even played last at the Emirates, it was also a 1-1 draw. All right, and this I think there's always been a lot of bad blood in this fixture. Remember how United ended the 49-game unbeaten run of Arsenal. You know, we do how fiercely, you know, the captains of the side in the 90s and in the early 2000s, rather, Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane were always going at it. You know, Ray Parlour, you know. It's always been a very, very thirsty affair, and I don't think this is going to be different because remember, you know, United have a player who was once Arsenal's first choice on the list. Talking about their transfer, they talk about Benjamin Sesko. All right, you know, they couldn't meet the demands of you know, Leipzig and the players' personal demands. United got the man eventually, so he has a point to prove that. I mean,
even your players also have a point to prove.
You understand? You know, for also it's not been him, when he could have also been some sort of a reunion. All right, but talking about what you touched on about Arsenal finishing, you know, runners-up 3 years consecutively before winning the league, we have to also understand that Arsene Wenger had won the league in his first full season in England before he now went on that 3 seasons consecutively finishing second. I think that's never tasted victory except as an assistant coach to Pep. Yeah, so So maybe that may not apply. Maybe it may apply. Only time will tell.
Okay, now take a look at this Arsenal team.
Okay.
You know, for the past few years, ever since Mikel Arteta took over of Arsenal, they've been the best team as far as defense is concerned in England.
Yeah.
With the likes of Gabriel, Saliba, even Kivio mentioned them. They've been doing well.
Yeah.
Fantastically well at that defense now.
Yeah.
And now they now brought in Zubimendi. They allowed Thomas Partey to leave. They brought in Gyökeres. And now some Arsenal fans have been complaining that they still need another player at that left flank, that they can't rely on the likes of Trossard and Martinelli. Don't you think it's too early for them, you know, to jump to conclusion? They are already telling us that they can't win the league again. That's what they're telling us.
This comes to me as a surprise because I'm very aware of the appreciation that Leandro Trossard gets from Arsenal fans. Let's face it, this is a player who hardly gets to start games, but has that element of a super sub. Sometimes when he starts games, he proves that he deserves to be in the starting 11. But I believe he's not in the starting 11 because it's just it's just a stopgap. Because Gabriel Martinelli has been with this team for 6 years, since he was 18 years old. So he's part of the project, right? The long-term project. Him being on the left, but Bukayo Saka being on the right flank as well. So, but I think he has done enough to stake a claim to that left wing. Okay. For Gabriel Martinelli, he had a fantastic season in 2022-2023 when this newly built Arsenal started. He struggled with injuries. Even inconsistency. Some fans I can understand to say is a lack of good decision in the final third. He has good pace. Knows how to take on players. But what's the end product, right? And that's where players like Kelechi Iheanacho has been featured in that mix, right? Because he's a player who can score some goals sometimes, but can open up space for his teammates and all of that. So Martinelli, I know the disappointment, but with Leonard Trossard, I'm shocked because he's also a player that's going to have a point to prove. I think if my memory serves me right, he should be maybe on his last year in his contract or thereabouts.
So you have the opinion that he should get somebody like Kelechi.
I'm not at the helms of that affair, but his name has been mentioned for the better part of the transfer window, so I won't be surprised. The jersey number 10 is still vacant. Some feel that's it's just been prepped down, waiting for him to come on board. So I think they are good to go.
Sorry to cut you short,
Okay.
Daniel Segi. Talking about jersey number 10.
Okay.
It's just there. I remember when we were growing up.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a jersey, you look for jersey number 10, jersey number 9, jersey. Why is Arsenal jersey number 10 being vacant?
That's because the former in the shirt holder was Emile Smith-Rowe, who joined Fulham last season. Martin Odegaard, we know, is a number 10, right? However, it's been done in the number 8 jersey for quite some time, just like Robin Van Persie when he joined United wearing number 20. After the first year, the number 9 became available for him. That was after I think the departure of Dimitar Berbatov at some point. So, but he said he wasn't going to have a change of shirt number because he had to consider the fans who are not so financially buoyant, who already have a jersey number 20 of his, having to now buy a new jersey of him wearing number 9. So he decided to maintain the number 20. So I don't know if Martin Odegaard is stealing that part, or because he's being used to being known as a number 8. Maybe he's trying to carve a niche for himself, being the number 8. I mean, Dennis Bergkamp is still in the heads of a lot of Arsenal fans as the top number 10.
Since he dropped that jersey number 10, Arsenal is struggling.
Hey, but Robin Van Persie also wore 10 for a while. Started with number 11, they switched to number 10, and he switched to number 10 at the point where he really became Robin Van Persie. Right, so it's a
injury free.
Yeah, you understand. So I think for the fact that Odegaard believes so, maybe Dennis Bergkamp is a number 10, like the greatest number 10 in Arsenal history, probably. Some Van Persie is also in that mix. Why not make a name for yourself in a different jersey number? You understand? It's just like in basketball. The number 23 will always be associated with Michael Jordan.
Yes,
no matter with all that LeBron James has done for the sport, the number 23 is going to forever be associated as Michael Jordan's number. All right, so I feel Martin Odegaard, okay, let me just make a name for myself in a different number.
Sorry to cut you short.
Okay.
Does jersey number in football? Because we've seen a lot of people after Cristiano Ronaldo left Manchester United in his first stint. People see all the players that are put on that jersey number 7, they don't really do well. And the jersey number is too big for them. The same thing is happening at Arsenal. I don't know whether does jersey play football or there is a pressure that comes with that jersey number.
So I think it's the pressure that comes with it, and it's everything is all in the head. Okay, so and the fans are the ones that have high demands. Okay, some of these players are idolized.
Yes, of course.
A player like Dennis Bergkamp, having a fantastic career with Ajax and then with Inter Milan. I mean, Ballon d'Or nominee at some point, FIFA World Footballer of the Year, top 3 finalists and all of that. He came to Arsenal, brought some flamboyance to flamboyant football to the Arsenal team. Also, let's not forget, he was for a very long time the all-time leading goal scorer for the Dutch national team. You understand? So this is a player who came with lots of grit, lot of flamboyance, lot of flair, lot of panache into the game in England, and because of how successful he had been individually and with that team as a collective, yes, and let's not forget, he was part of the Invincibles team. He was there. He was even at the club long before Arsene Wenger came in. Yes, and he stuck with Wenger for about 9 seasons, right? Anyone who comes on board has to fill in their shoes, and that is a pressure that's being mounted by the fans, because the fans have enjoyed a certain level of success with a particular player. They're so fond of that player. Whoever has to wear that shirt has to sort of buy the fans over, you know. So if you cannot deal with that, then there's a problem. You know, there are some players who are on a different level. A Kylian Mbappe, I feel, can wear any jersey number and he will do well, because I mean, he's Kylian Mbappe. I always say, if Kylian Mbappe retires today, he's already amongst the greatest footballers of all time.
Yes, of course.
You understand, with what he has done for football. So if the player is not at that level, you understand, the expectation will always be high. You understand. And speaking of jersey numbers, and that's what we look out to see in Lamine Yamal at Barcelona this season. I feel he's a generational talent, so he should do well. But if he cannot undo the psychological part, and he's a man now, he's 18. You understand, because we saw that. But I feel certainly Lionel Messi also inherited that jersey from Ronaldo, and he took that from where Ronaldo had taken it to, took it to a lofty height that looks almost impossible for anyone to be. So my point is, we have seen players elevated that status. Ronaldo, for instance, you know, Raúl was everything Real Madrid fans ever wished for. The best since Di Stefano, you know, because his Madrid blood, you know, runs in his vein. You understand? He took that jersey number to a different level, you know, became the club's all-time goal scorer. But Ronaldo smashed it within 6 years at Madrid. He was already the all-time leading scorer for Real Madrid. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that a jersey number defines an era in the club. You know, a particular time where something was achieved. So anyone who takes up from there has to take it to a different level, and it's not impossible because we've seen players do it. Lionel Messi has done it.
That's a good striker. They always go for jersey number 14.
Yeah, you know, that it's more like a good omen, you know, because of Thierry Henry came into Arsenal, and in such a short stint, I think he was at the club for 8 years. Within his first 6 or 7 years, he was already all-time leading scorer for the team. As a matter of fact, if you go to England, you know, Thierry Henry is like is so iconic that even the English that we. I say we in the context that a lot of people feel that they hype their own. Yes. You understand? But I mean, I feel they're just doing the right thing. You know, there's a Yoruba adage that says "Ontanila and Bela Ruge." You know, that's what they do. Yeah, so you be the first to patronize your own product, right? So, but in spite of that fact, if you go to England today, you hear that a lot of Premier League fans still think that Thierry Henry is probably the greatest player to play in the Premier League.
Yes,
you understand? Despite the exploit of Alan Shearer, players like Ryan Giggs, who is Brit, so he's British as well. But that's how much English football fans appreciate Thierry Henry. So having to hand that jersey number to another player is because they want to see you in that vein. They want to see you succeed, because when you succeed individually, it rubs off on the success of the team.
So should we say all these the likes of Theo Walcott, Aubameyang, that wore jersey number 14, not that they didn't live up to expectation, we were just expecting something of sort of Thierry Henry.
Yes, and you have to understand that what Thierry did at that point in time was remarkable. I mean, Thierry Henry averaged 20. He did 20 goals per season for like 6 years or 5 years in the Premier League. And that's I mean, 3 times Golden Boot winner in succession, 4 times all in total. I think it's a joint record he shares with Mohamed Salah at this point in time. You know, it was just doing what kings do. That's why it was dubbed Igwe at some point.
Yes, of course.
You know, so I think Theo Walcott, for the fact that he started out at Arsenal as a winger, scoring over 100 goals for Arsenal, I think he's a legend of Arsenal Football Club. Originally a striker, but because of his pace and because of players like Henry, he had to start out wide. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang did fantastic. at Arsenal. Fantastic player at Arsenal. You know, in his first full season, won the Golden Boot in the Premier League. Okay, you know, so I think those players did their bit. They couldn't get to the heights of Thierry Henry, but definitely what they did was remarkable.
All right, now before we leave, can you just give us your correct score? I know whether United are in their best form or not, Arsenal really struggle at Old Trafford. So Manchester United versus Arsenal at Old Trafford. Your correct score.
You know, that you mentioned score, you know, it's difficult for you to forget the 8-2 bashing of Arsenal, you know, way back in 2012, you know, and but we don't expect that to happen anytime soon, because Arsenal look to have, you know, depending on a swung in their favor this time around. I think United cannot come at, you know, victorious in this one. Probably 3-1 victory for Arsenal.
Okay, Arsenal is winning. Crystal Palace versus Chelsea.
So last season, this home and away, both at Selhurst Park and Stamford Bridge, this match ended in a stalemate, 1-1 across both legs. But prior to that, the last 3 or thereabout meetings, Chelsea have always found a way to win. I think bringing in the confidence of you know, their triumph in the United States, talking about the FIFA Club World Cup, Chelsea know that they have to put their first their best foot first. So I think I can't look beyond the Chelsea victory, especially because it's at Stamford Bridge. So probably maybe a 2-1 victory or 2-0 victory will work.
All right, that is how much we can take on Sports All Enterprise TV 7. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified of all alerts. Follow us across our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Like, share, and engage on our content. Visit our website at www.enterprisetv.com for all the news you can use, the inclusive and the live update. Daniel Osegi has been great on the show today.
Many thanks for you know, being here in flesh and blood, you know, and I'm able to you know, dish out the best of analysis for our viewer.
All right, my name remains John Olascoin. See you next time.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.